What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on Detroit Drivers. So today I wanted to make an episode on one of the main stars of this channel, which is my baby right here, my 1996 Harley-Davidson Sportster 1200. I realized I never made a video on this thing, and I figured I probably should. So in this one, I just wanted to explain how I got this bike, what I did to it, and why I did this. So here goes. So I got this thing about, what is it, 2017? It's about 4 years ago now. And it was a bit, hold on, tunnel. So anyways, when I bought this bike, I got it from an old coworker of mine, and I never had a motorcycle before. This is actually my very first and only motorcycle I have ever owned. When my coworker told me he had this bike, he showed me a picture of it, and it looked very different than what it does now. But it also looked very different than from when I actually got it. Because when I actually got it from him, it was several weeks after we discussed it. And he eventually said, oh, well, actually, I kind of took the bike all apart to save room in my shop. Which, I don't know how much room that actually saves, but that kind of ended up working out pretty good for me, because by him completely disassembling the thing, he basically did what I already planned to do in the first place. What happened was that I just completely took it apart, I stripped the frame down, repainted it, and everything else I had on the bike, it was literally just the frame, the motor, and boxes of parts of stuff that I had to figure out where everything went. The wiring harness was completely trashed. It was, he just never actually disconnected it properly. He just cut all the wires. So I had to get a whole new wiring harness for it. Obviously, I was eventually able to get it all back together, and I assembled most of it actually in my tiny little 400 square foot apartment in California until it eventually got too big to fit into the elevator, and then I actually started building it at work. So as for the things I actually did to the bike, obviously, since this is a flat tracker style, the first thing you must do to create a flat tracker style motorcycle is to give it 19s front and rear, and that's what I did. So I literally just have a front wheel in the back, and you can buy like adapter kits, and I got mine from Phil Little Racing. Looking back, I found another set of those adapters you can get for significantly cheaper. I kind of like helping out a small operation like Phil Little Racing, so I was able to get 19s. I like the 9-spoke mags that these Sportsters had, so I put that in front and rear, and I got some Shinko DOT approved flat track tires, which are really hard to come by. And after that, I put on these 15-inch Burley Stiletto shocks, and they're actually pretty affordable, but you can kind of feel it in the ride quality. It's a pretty rough ride, but then again, I mean, look at this bike. It's not meant to be comfortable, so it's just supposed to look cool as fuck, which I think, if I must say so myself, did a pretty good job with. What I also did with those shocks is when you buy them, you can see that there's two different colored springs, and I think they're supposed to be different tensions. So what I did is I took it apart, I stripped the powder coating off of what used to be the red spring, and I repainted it the same hugger orange as the rest of my bike, so that way it's, you know, a little more cohesive. Now, as for my tank, probably my favorite part of this bike is also from Phil Little Racing. He has a whole bunch of stuff you can actually buy. You could buy pretty much an entire kit for your bike. He's got the tanks, the tails, he's got fork guards, he's got number plates, he's got all sorts of stuff. The tail section is actually from Saddlemen. It's called the Saddlemen Eliminator, and you know, like the skirts on the side, like, you know, these parts right here, they're kind of long at first, but it actually worked out pretty good for me, because that gave me the opportunity to trim the sides of that to flow with the profile of the tank. But I actually love this tail because it's so clean and simple. It looks very modern, and the center line of it gives this bike a very modern profile, even though it's a almost 30 years old these days. Well, not almost, it's 25. There's also my seat, which I actually had to get custom made because I just wanted it to kind of be more complementary to the, you know, the striped theme of the paint. All right, so what else is there? Oh yeah, my front end. So the front end came from a Buell M2, is what I think the guy who I bought it off of said it's from. I was actually looking up in the past to see what kinds of forks those Buells have. I think they all pretty much have the same front end. So I think the Buell M2, the S1, all that, they all have the same Showa forks, inverted forks. That's pretty much about it for the big major components. Other than that, all the details, you know, I got this little Moto Gadget mini speedometer here. It's pretty cool. I kind of wired it up with my flasher beams so I could change the screen mode. So I got, you know, the trip, odometer, RPM, and it's ride time. The time's only for when the bike is actually moving. You know, they got the rear sets from Chainsicle. It's another little small operation, but he's out of Utah. Air cleaner is Arlen Ness. Big Sucker is what it's called. And as for the exhaust, it is Cone Engineering. They are another small company based out of California. I love the exhaust. This sounds so good. It's not like your typical Harley loud exhaust where it's just obnoxious and loud. It's actually a curated sound. They actually made it sound good. My brakes, as for the brakes, brake discs front and rear are EBC brakes. My front brakes are actually really cool because I'm really proud of the score I got here. It is the old style Buell caliper and is machined out of black anodized aluminum. And what it has on it is the old Pegasus logo that Buell used to use. I scored these things off of eBay because I wanted to replace the ugly ones that these Buell front ends came with because it was like this weird, ugly sort of gold color. I didn't like it. So I painted it all black and then I was left with these funny looking brake calipers. And I found these, so now it looks really good up front. Really good up front. As for the rear brakes, brake calipers are from Belt Drive Limited. Never heard of these guys, but they make beautiful brake calipers. So I was able to put that in the back, and it kind of, again, lines right up with the whole black theme, and it looks really good. And they perform great too. And I do love this part of downtown. Oh yeah, I got the EK chain. You get that in pretty much, it seems like almost the entire color spectrum. So of course I got mine in orange so it matches the bike. And kind of a random part, but it came with the stator that gave out on me. But voltage regulator and stator from Psycho Electric, based out of Ohio. So as you can see, there's a bit of a pattern here. I like buying stuff from small American-based companies because America, and it's a Harley, so of course. My blinkers are obviously unique too. Like, the whole point of this bike is I wanted to be like as modern and sleek as I can possibly make it. And I got these Joker Machine Rat Eye turn signals, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're super minimal, but they are bright as hell, and they do a great job. And I love them. They look fantastic. Oh, stop sign again. So that's kind of what I had done to the bike. So why did I do this bike, like specifically the Sportster, and why did I make it up like this? Well, I mean, since this was my first bike, I was actually looking at, 3 bikes in total that were pretty much around the same price range. So obviously one Harley Sportster, the other one was a Ducati Monster, used obviously, and other than that it was a Honda CB, because Honda has a special place in my heart. But I ended up sticking with the Sportster because a lot of my coworkers are Harley guys, and for Harleys there are like trillions of parts out there for these things. So I figured this might be the easiest one to go, and honestly I am so glad because this bike is so much fun. It is also a horribly flawed bike in many ways. It's extremely top heavy, very shaky, not refined at all, but that's also kind of what makes it sort of fun because it's just such a raw machine. But there's also other things too, because like I love and hate Harley at the same time. Like, they're such a cool company with so much history and just like such a proud American company, but my god, they need to just they keep making the same shit over and over and over again. But I mean, as of late they've actually been doing a good job at turning all that around, and I'm very happy with that. But this bike is almost built out of like protest to Harley. because, you know, I want them to succeed. It's an American company that's been around for over a century, but they kind of got stagnant for a very long time. And this bike is pretty much like a homologation of Harley's greatest hits. I mean, it's shaped like a flat tracker, and they have a long and extensive history of winning in flat track racing, and they do nothing about it to bring that into their product. And now that Indian is back, Indian's been whooping their ass in flat tracking too, so. But I mean, it looks like a flat tracker. It's got the color scheme of the Harley VR 1000 that they had for a short time when they were actually in professional motorcycle race, like road racing. It was that AMP or MotoGP, and they were really cool bikes. And they had this badass color scheme, and honestly, I wouldn't have known about this color scheme if my coworker had never told me about it. And of course, the front end from a Buell, because we all know about Buell. That was a huge screw up by Harley-Davidson, getting rid of them. You know, now Harley came out the Pan America, then there's the Sportster S, and I mean, I got my gripes about the Sportster S. I think the tires are a little comically fat, which I understand is ironic considering I have a very fat front tire myself on this one, but I think those are like ridiculously fat on that thing. See, this do sound good though. I think Harley's single pin engine still has a place in this world, but also the Revolution Max is an excellent motor. So I think there is room for a classic Harley to coincide with modern Harley. But so I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's about all I can tell you about this bike. And again, this is my only bike. This is not a show bike. I don't really baby this thing. As you can see from this video, I kind of beat the crap out of it because, you know, these Evo motors, they last forever. It's just everything else on this bike is falling apart. And pretty much most of the shit that I touched myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you like my bike. It's my baby girl. I gotta pay attention. These roads are classic Detroit. And see you guys next time. Stay safe out there. Deuces.